peoples. How's everybody doing today? How's life, man? Man, it's been a weird, cloudy day today, man. But hopefully, this can be some good positive energy in the world today. You know what I'm saying? Give a big shout out to man, Takeoff, Amigos. Godspeed to that brother, his family, and his friends, and his loved ones, and just the whole music community, and just people in general. So it's a tough one, but let's definitely send our positive energy out there. It's definitely needed. You know what I'm saying? So, but thank you guys for tuning in. I see a couple folks from first time chat. What up, Arthur? Thank you for tuning in today. And we have what up, Logan? How you doing, man? So Lucky, thank you for tuning in. Sterling, appreciate you coming in the show. What else we got? King Phil, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. I see Ryan, thanks for tuning in. Definitely a lot of new first time folks. Who else? Yeah, okay, everybody tune in. So today, today's pretty chill. We got some folks from Paris. Oh shit. We got Moonwave. What's up, bro? Or either that man, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Today is pretty chill. I'm trying to do a day of like basically like Q&A questions, and just kind of like more centered around obviously like production, and centered around like kind of like just process and kind of just cooking up ideas, and just trying to find inspiration for the creative process and what you are searching for, looking for, or just tips and hints, and also kind of exploring a little bit of like my, I guess, philosophies when it comes to like creating, because a lot of them to me have to do with just like I guess you would say like life lessons, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to like making music or making anything that you're inspired by, or something that's like that feels really good. So in some ways it's like just being able to like create from a standpoint of what's the source, you know what I'm saying? What are you trying to create from, and what are you trying to actually have a starting point, So yeah, you guys could flood basically any questions into the chat that you have about anything, pretty much, in the process of like things that you may have questions about in like your process of making music, or in maybe even questions of things that you heard that I've done. Anything to do with just like anything that has to do with just trying to get to the next step of whatever your goal is and what you're trying to make. So that's the realm of today's show. But yeah, usually every week I'm trying to like kind of change it up, depending, because I had some people in my Discord ask me a few questions as well, that they were kind of sitting around production and things like that. So I figured I'd actually sit down and actually go over some of those things, show you a little bit of like the process, you know what I'm saying, and what kind of can, where you can kind of come from, where you can start. So yeah, that's pretty much like how we kind of rolling this day. But yeah, please just fill the questionnaire, fill the chat with any questions around, just making music. So appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah, and if you have if you want to join the Discord as well too, have access to samples or other collaborator opportunities, if you click on the announcement in the chat, that's a link to the actual Discord, and you guys can just tune in, check it out. It's a growing thing. It's going to be a lot of it's going to be a growing thing that has to do with just kind of like building a community of, sharing ideas, sharing processes, sharing conversations, sharing, trade secrets, also to opportunities that will happen throughout the year of just like different things that, that are kind of happening in my world or also other people's worlds that have to do with just like, giving somebody a shot at something that they, may have not been able to have access to. So, what I'm saying? I think it's just trying to build a world of basically like we're able to like really support each other and create just a community. So, I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But yeah, you can see if you tap into the link and announcements that'll be popping up throughout the show. You can have access to Discord, and please go ahead and join up. Let's see. So unless there is a specific question you guys want to start off with anything, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about somebody's been asking me basically about like, let's see, we'll be at the recording again. Oh, fire, man. Oh, dope. He said, what's your name? Pass the Ox. He said, I will be at the Recording Academy event next week. I can't just wait to see you there and discuss the creative process. So if you guys haven't looked, I posted a link, or I'll repost a link today. Basically next week, it's the basically the Grammys, the people who put the Grammys together, the Recording Academy is putting on this event centered around the last album by Kendrick Lamar called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and basically it's going to be a panel with pretty much all the main folks who were in the process of creating the album, from myself, Soundwave, J Pounds, I believe Sam Dew will be there. Sam Dew is one of the vocalists you basically heard all throughout the album. Who else? There's going to be more collaborators as well, and it's going to be curated by my guy Carl Cherry from Rap Caviar. And I don't know if there's tickets available still, but you guys should definitely, I'll put the link in, I think, is there a link or a flyer? I'll basically put the flyer, or I'll put the link in the, oh yeah, is that it? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're gonna put the link in the chat, so if you guys want to attend, they are selling tickets for the event, so check it out. It's a really dope, it's gonna be really dope, because at the end of the day, it kind of gives you an inkling of like the process of how the album was made, and from everybody's perspective, and like what everybody brought to the album. I like to ask y'all a question, like, what did you guys actually think of the album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers? It's obviously, if you guys are not, it says, you saw what I'm saying, he said the link isn't working. We'll check it again and send it to you one more time. I think in that see here, okay, yeah, the link, I think I just popped the link up right now in the chat, so check it out and see if you guys want to have any questions or anything like that. So so that's next week, so definitely pull up if you can. It should be a fun chat, and it should be cool. So I had a it's funny, I had a discussion with this is the topic I was kind of thinking about. I had a discussion with a friend of mine about samples and basically this idea around samples and like how where are we at now, basically, and how are we getting to the point of like finding ways to collaborate and use, you know, samples from other artists, other producers. It's like it's kind of a new wave in the sense of like samples that allow artists or producers and writers be able to create new music and be a part of songs that normally you probably wouldn't have been in the process of doing. Oh, what's up, David? Thank you for this subscription. Appreciate that, bro. Yeah, like basically the idea of like samples and like how, you know, in the last 10 years, you know, you're starting to see more producers and writers on a song than you probably ever have before. And it's a good thing, and I think it's a really dope process of how to make a song, but also too it's kind of created a little bit of a, I guess a little bit of a I guess you wouldn't call it like a, not stigma, but just like people are starting to like, especially record labels, starting to like not like it because it's a lot more work to actually clear records, and there's more people that have to be a part of like a song. And then I don't know if you guys saw a post by Bobby Shmurda, like when was Bobby Shmurda did this post? He did it like a few months ago, where basically somebody was trying to sell him a beat, and I think he was just, the beat was like $10,000 or some shit, and he was like, yo, I'm not paying for the beat when it's like 30 motherfuckers on the beat. And it kind of made me think around like, I guess in some sense of like process of like, you know, who's responsible for like everybody. Oh, Dejan, you saw that? Yeah. It's like basically like who's responsible for like taking care of like all the people and writers on the song. And you know, it's a lot, man. It's an interesting like oh, somebody said album of the year for me. Oh yeah, I think it's definitely in the top album of the year for sure. It refers to Mr. Morale. But yeah, I think an idea just like collaborators coming together to be a part of something, and like, you know, who's a producer and who's like and a writer, or who's like coming in and like finishing ideas and like actually doing shit and actually being able to like take an idea to another to basically take it to the finish line. And you know, in some ways it's like a thing where I guess in some ways you're trying to make the process a lot smoother in creating, you know what I'm saying? And to me, like, the best albums are made from like collaborators. Like the best albums are made from like, you have maybe someone who's kind of like guiding the ship a little bit, but then you have like people who are like specialized in like a creative process of like whatever they do and contributing to a song, and whoever it is who can take it over the finish line and actually make something dope with it, I think you can actually make something that you never thought you'd make before. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that in the process is kind of being not talked about as much. But I think the results are going to be 9 times out of 10, like, you know, pretty phenomenal. Somebody said, Cole said, for sample makers and composers, it's great that the door is now open for us to be musicians fully. No limits musically. For those of us who went to Berkeley or love true composition, it allows us to create like Marvin Gaye would. Bray White, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's, to me, it's like it's allowing the door of like real musicians to play on records and be a part of a record and contribute to records, and maybe whoever's in the room with the artist or producer, when the artist or writers, to kind of put it over the finish line. That particular process is like super important to finish the goal. So everybody who gets a part of the record, from 1% to 5% to 10% to 6% to 20%, 30%. If you get a piece of, like, I always say, if you get a piece of something that is like, if you get a small piece of something that is like fucking phenomenal and big, the reward is a lot fucking humongously great. If you want all the credit of like having 50% of a record and the shit doesn't do anything, then it's kind of like not cool and it doesn't matter and it's kind of whack. So in a lot of ways, it's like being able to like make stuff that people who are specialized in what they do, like, they get the proper credit in the process of what they're doing, but in some ways also to the producer who's actually maybe took it over the finish line and took it to the next step or made it something really great, like, they get their just due too. But in some ways, like, how do you find that relationship? Like, how do you make that work? And I think that's just a process. I think as I've started to transition into different roles and like more as a like executive producer of a project, or be like like heading on a whole album, like knowing how to galvanize like different parts of these creative communities and like bringing them together to make an album. It's like, it makes me think about that process a lot. And I think it's just something that I kind of want to talk to you guys about and see what you guys kind of think, and like what are some things that you kind of have noticed, and even certain experiences that I've had, and kind of see what's the solution in some ways of like making it better, making the process better, and making the creative whole realm of what we're doing, taking it to the next step. So I saw a couple questions in here, or several comments. Let me see. It says, DeJohn says, yeah, that's why Kanye in my opinion, has the best discography. So many geniuses putting their heads together, basically. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Kanye, I was actually in a room with Kanye around Life of Pablo days, like early on, like right before Life of Pablo days, and I actually got in with Kanye, and it was crazy because it was the first time I just seen his process and working, and just from kind of being in the room, it was dope to see him basically Kanye would basically like sample producers, if that makes sense. Like, Kanye would basically take I would play him some beats, and Kanye would be like, I like that snare, and I'd be like, yo, I played your whole beat, you only like my snare? And I kind of was like baffled by that, because I was like, yo, like, the whole beat is dope, but you only like my snare. He's like, yo, I love the way it sounds. Like, can you bounce that for me and take that part? So I was like, all right, whatever, man. You the creative, genius. So take heed. Took my snare, and I think he took the snare, and he also took like the like some effects sound I had over there. And then he had another beat he had, and made a song out of like from an old sample that he had. It was like, oh, this is a dope sample that I can use. Put it with my drums, and then he also took like another guitar part from some other song, basically put everything in the same key and pitched it and played it as a beat. And I was like, oh shit, like I had never seen like basically parts of a record be put together just from like my style, this person's style, his style, and basically matched it to a point where it's like it's a new record. And I think like it's just dope to see a process that way, because sometimes as we're making music, like we're just in our own space and we're in our own like we're just in our own world, you know what I'm saying? And basically you know what you do, and you know what like what creative shit that you make, and what's the cap. So in some ways of like being able to do that and make something really dope from just like people putting ideas together is like incredibly like kind of mind-blowing. So that was one thing I really figured out and learned a lot about as I've been kind of making music and making samples and making creative, just being in the room to make something and see the process happen. Somebody had asked let me see. Let me see. Sorry, it says, I think the only problem is when it's 8 people on a beat and you still feel no human touch to it, and then just a regular 130 frame. That's funny. He was saying like when it's 8 people on a beat and nobody actually touches or actually hadn't been in a room or met each other, and it just turns out to be like a 130 beat trap beat, which is, you know, happens a lot these days. But yeah, you know, I think it's I'd say like from my experience, sometimes it's just like I look at it a couple ways. Like my process now is in general of like, I look at it like if someone is making a record and maybe there's like that, like for example, like I can say for example, like my guy Monty Booker. I don't know if you guys just heard the new Smino record, which is one of the best records of this year for sure. Just the range of creative like shit that he was really doing in there was like I was like really impressed, bro. Like I don't know if you guys heard that album, but it's yeah, I think it's like literally one of the best albums of the year. Like it's what's the name of the album? It's I'm bad with names, but album is called Love for Rent. Yeah, Love for Rent, man. Like the album is so hard, bro. Like that shit is really, really dope. And so I actually worked on one of the records on there called Pro Freak, featuring Doechii and Fat Man Scoop. And like basically that record went through like maybe like 3 or 4 different processes where basically if you look at the credits, I'll put it in the song so you guys can see it too. Let's see a second. Does this show up in here? Let's see. So yeah, so like the song has it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 writers, and it's produced by my man Childish Major, Felix, Dahi, Monty, and Nami. And so basically like the record kind of came to be from just it came from, first idea came from me and Nami. Me and Nami were in the studio working. Actually, do I have that sample here with me? I don't know if I actually have that sample. Let me see. Maybe I can open up that session. But basically, like the record kind of came from like me and Nami in the studio, and he just came by and we just started making samples basically. And let's see if I actually have that song here. I don't know, but let me check. Let's see. Sorry. So let me just look right quick. So Sorry, I'm just going through trying to find some. All right, so let's see. Me and Nami were in the studio and we basically just jammed out a couple ideas. Let me see. It might have been the last one we did. I just want to see. So basically, like this song was a started from a sample that me and Nami had made. We were just in the studio and basically we were just like messing around and like just made some. Is this the one? Let me see. Nope, maybe it's not that one. Let's see. So Nami, do I have that one here? Hopefully I do, because it's a really dope sample. Don't save. Sorry, I'm just going through these sessions. It would be cool though. Oh, somebody said, are these streams going to be saved and you guys can watch them later? Yes, we will be able to put these at YouTube. I don't know exactly the date when to do it, but we're going to be able to put it on YouTube at some point. So probably in like, you know, give us some time. I don't know when, but we'll be able to put it on on YouTube probably within the next couple weeks or so. But for sure, definitely gonna put it on YouTube. What's this one? Let me see. Oh no, nope, that's not it. Well, anyway, sorry. I thought I had the session. But basically, okay. So the whole gist of the story, sorry, because I feel like I'm just rambling now. The whole gist of the story is basically me and Nami had made a sample. The sample was just like a really dope kind of Brazilian I guess it kind of like bossa nova kind of feel of an idea. And yeah, I was like, I did some vocal samples on there and like basically chopped it and was like, and recorded it on my phone, sent it to him. Was like, this is really hard. He had the beat, he had the sample, and then the sample came. I think I forgot. I literally forgot about the sample. I was like, I don't even know. And that's the problem sometimes. I feel like for me, like unless it's in my realm of like music or what I'm doing or having some stuff, I'll just forget about it. And that's the really cool thing about music. It's like unless you have to kind of always remember that you have these ideas and like some of this shit is just gonna be, you know, kind of circulating through the world, and you just hopefully like you're in the right room and it kind of gets placed in the right hands and doing shit. So so basically, I was like, all right, cool. I'll let Nami take the sample, give it to whoever messed around with the beat. I think he got with Childish Major, or he sent Childish like the sample, and Childish like flipped the beat, like literally made like he made it to a version that I never even thought of. It was way more up tempo, had like a really dope bop to it, kind of made it into like this really dope live record that I was like, yo, this shit is fire. And I think, yeah, it got into, and then it got to Monty's hands, and Monty basically kind of put the final touches on. It was if you listen to the record, there's two records on there. The first half and the second. The first half is with Doechii, I think Fat Man Scoop, and then the other half is just Smee rapping on a different beat. And yeah, man, the record's like really, really, really dope, man. Like it's just like it's like one of my favorite tracks on the record. I think it's just like kind of shows the range of where he can go and what he can do. And creatively, he's just like, he's one of the ones that I think he tried to push the boundaries a little bit and trying to make something a little bit different. Just, you know, just for his own process, which is cool. But the point is basically, did the record came on fire. When we came to the business, I was like, look, bro, hey, y'all put the record together. Like I'm good. Like whatever you want to give me, I'm fine. Like, you know, we can just split really on the publishing side, production side. Like, you know, I'm simple. Like basically, because a lot of times you got to think too. A lot of this stuff you got to think too. A lot of this stuff is like kind of opportunity. You know, for me, it's like there's certain worlds that I obviously have a hand in, and I can go to the artist direct. But sometimes, like, you know, I don't know who did what, or I don't know, or I may have to go through somebody else's channel to actually get on the record and do certain shit. So in some ways, it's like when I do the business side of things, it's like to kind of keep things simple. I'm really like, yo, like, just let me just split it evenly. I don't really want more than anybody else. If you guys feel like you deserve a little bit more for what you did, um, I'm easy. I'm easy with it. You know what I'm saying? Just because at the end of the day, it's not about this one record. It's about the future records. You know what I'm saying? It's really about like the next opportunity, the next thing, the next record. In some ways, I think that's something that we all have to like be aware of in our process and how we're making music and how we're like putting things together. Because it's just, you know, it's rooms that are happening and think people are happening in camps and like, you know, and especially in LA, like there's a real, you know, I'm in Los Angeles, so you know, there's just so much opportunities in music and things that are happening that are just kind of like falling into place from just like, you know, meeting someone and be like, oh, this is really dope, this is really cool, like do you want to fuck with it? Cool, I'll do it. Send it to the artist. He loves it. Boom, put the finishing touches on. Oh, we got a record. So in some ways, it's just like the collaboration process. You got to really be open to it. And then also to just like really find people who can take records to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Because I think sometimes we can all get stuck in what we're doing, in the process of what we're doing. And sometimes you need somebody else in the room to be like, oh, that's dope. Like, let me flip that idea. Let me cheer it another way or hear a different lane. So that's just a little story I was kind of talking about when it comes to just like the process of like channeling the record. And I think everybody who did something dope to the record like actually made the record better. You know, I think that was like super important to like what we were trying to do and like what it was made. So yeah. Say Andre, thank you for the subscribe. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You got some love, Dahi's my father or someone's name.
What is that?
Dahi's my father or someone's.
Somebody said Dahi's my father.
That's the name. That's a sub.
Oh, that's somebody's sub. Dahi's my father. That is funny. That's funny. All right, somebody asked me a question. What tools do you like to sequence or generate MIDI? Do you use Max for live devices or Warp MIDI packs? Would love to know more about the MIDI flow work. Oh, so MIDI workflow is like MIDI workflow is pretty interesting for me. Just because I have a lot of different tools that kind of, I wouldn't say it's cheat codes, but there's definitely ways of like kind of generating tools to like keep patterns of stuff, you know, keep ideas of things. One of them for what am I use for drums is, I mean, drums, I have a lot of different ones, man. I use a lot of different ones. I have basically, I'll show you my Ableton screen. But it's something that I do. Let me see if I have it on here. I basically make templates, basically. And I'll make MIDI patterns, and just save them as like in clip view. So when you're in Ableton, Ableton has, I like clip view because I can save MIDI ideas, if that makes sense, and just save them as a master, like drum thing, whatever. So for example, I have a template, and this is something that I do, but I like to, I kind of let people know, like, it's, for me, it's like a really cool process of just like saving ideas. So I'll just open up this session and you can kind of see, but basically just like a template thing that I use to funnel drum patterns into like my MIDI workflow. So, and I don't know if you guys are used to Ableton, but Ableton has a different workflow pattern and stuff like that, and it's a little bit, but basically I have it in clip view arrangement mode, and if you don't know, there's two screens. There's arrangement mode, which is this screen, which is like basically kind of the same way of like most DAWs work, and you got clip view. Now clip view is cool because clip view allows you to arrange things like a show. I think when Ableton was made, they had a lot of live DJ sets, or a lot of live shows were basically put in Ableton for people to like basically do transitions of songs, tempos, MIDI map, control everything through kind of like arrangement. So basically you can have like a intro part here in the top row, the verse part here, bridge, second verse, outro part, and you can all basically put them in clips, whatever. So in some ways, what I do is, and I can kind of show you a little bit of here. Is this the one? Let me see. Okay, so for example, like I have, what do I have here? This is just a basic tempo one. So for example, like I have this DAW drum monkey. I'm pretty sure you guys all seen like the Unison drum monkey commercials on YouTube scroll page of just like, you know, advertising the shit out of like your DAW. But the cool thing about it is basically what I use it, like they have some really cool way of generating basic patterns, whatever. So what I'll do is I'll take, for example, I'll play an R&B song, whatever, and I'll just generate like a groove, and I'll say, all right, can you hear it? See? Okay. So I was like, oh, I like that groove. And I can take that, drag it to the clip view. All right, cool, like that one. All right, I want another one. And it just generates random patterns for like drums, which is cool. Cause like, I like this one, it's cool. Let me drag that to the clip view here, bam. And do it again. Oh, this is cool. Let me take that here. Drag it here. So basically what I'm doing is like, I'll take a pattern, take that here, generate it. If I like it, then I'll take it to another DAW. And for example, like I like to use XO. Somebody asked, how much is Drum Monkey? I think Drum Monkey's like, what is it like?
It was three or
is
four.
It 300?
3 or 4, because of like the whole pack.
Is it $300?
Yeah, it was like,
damn.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, my boy Tyler, he says it was $300. I didn't know it was that expensive, but the point is basically, I think it's $300, but I would check the website. It's Unison. Yeah, it's a lot.
$397.
$397? Damn. $397. That's a lot. But the point is basically, you can take that. There's other programs that do the same thing basically. Oh, somebody says if you do it says $297 or $15 for 22 months. That's crazy. That's funny. But basically like you'll take the patterns, put it in XO. I use XO. And then basically what you can do is you can take you can do a MIDI map. A MIDI map is basically I just MIDI map a MIDI map to actually I'll show you. Like I have an XO preset that I do. And yeah, so basically I MIDI map it, right? Oh, it's already here. So basically it's here. See here I have the MIDI map at the lower left corner. So I'll take that, and basically when I click on the actual sound, it has already the same setups of rows of sounds that come out of here, and from like flex sounds, open hi-hats, close hi-hats, claps, snares, kicks, whatever. And basically I can easily go here and like generate different sound patterns from like all of my sound library sounds, which is really cool because I don't have to sit there and pick through hundreds and thousands of drum sounds just to actually make something dope. And I like that. I like that process because I don't have to basically spend a hell of time like you know, trying to come up with an idea. But it's just a cool way of like basically being able to throw sounds in the pack, and like you can actually make something like off the bat really quick. And that's just an idea of like the process of like the MIDI thing that I really like to do. But like, good question. That makes, if you have any, yeah, let me see. I love Ableton, never switching. Yeah, Ableton's the best, man. I don't care what anybody can say. Oh, we got Moonwave producer. Thank you for the subscription. Appreciate it. Never made a beat in session view. I'm telling you, man, session view is hard, bro. Like session view is dope because how can I describe it? Basically, if you guys think of session view, and this is not even a secret because people think it's like a secret, but you got to think of session view as like your master beats. So say if you guys took like all of your beats, right? Like say if you took all of your just samples, drum lines, or just like basses, just all your sounds, and you put them all in a row. You can the cool thing about session view is like you can try different styles of like pocket playing. So say if you just got like a bass player coming by and they're just doing like hundreds of takes of just like different parts of a song. The cool thing is like you can go into session view and you can go into session view and really go all the way down of like all the different takes from basses or all the different string parts in place, or all the different things, and basically create new arrangements of like song parts based off of like someone's playing style and shit like that. And it's just another way of like basically keeping archives of like parts of a song and rearranging it. Or you can also too take an idea and really if you put all your samples in, like just samples that you made, like if you're a sample maker, right, and you just literally have like 1,000 samples, just try one day putting all your samples in session view. Like I'll even show you, for example. I'll give you a perfect example, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, because it's kind of hard unless you get it, you know what I'm saying? But so don't say. Let's see. So I'll just show you because I feel like it's kind of hard for me to explain it. But so I'll take. All right, let me go to samples, right? So I'm gonna go to my sounds, right? So I have some drum loops that I made. So let's see. All right, so like the drum loop, right? So I'll take the drum loop, and then I'll do. This is like a drum loop that I made. I'll do like. So I'll put this drum loop here, and I'll do. All right, cool. I'm just throwing in a couple random sounds. All right, so like this drum loop here, this is like a drum loop I actually did off of Vince Staples. What's the name of that record I did? What's the record I did for Vince?
Oh, DJ Quick.
DJ Quick. Sorry, yeah. So this is like this is like the drum loop I made for the song DJ Quick. So it's like 84. I think it's 84. So I'll take example, right? Cool. So I'll go to like samples, and I'll go to let's go to my guy, Jakob. So Jakob has some really dope samples. So I can take his samples, put it in Clip View, right? And basically I can try different arrangements from like all these beats from just different ideas. So for example, like I'll play the drum beat. And I'll play like a sample from his. Now some of you have to warp it, because that's the one thing about Ableton. Sometimes you have to warp it in time because it might sound a little shitty. But basically the cool thing is like I can play samples at different things and just try different arrangements. Alright, try to switch it up. Try different arrangements. I'll try a different sample. Yeah, I don't know if that explained what I was trying to say, but basically, yeah, it's just a really cool way, basically, for you to be able to um, change arrangements, try different pockets, try different samples, um, uh, try different sounds with like samples, and see what you can get. And you can do that with anything, instruments from you know. You can do that with acapellas. You can do that with sound effects. You can do that with everything. Like you can really actually go around and like try different sections of songs and see what you can do and make, because it's like it really just like in some ways of like creating um a master arranger. And that's why I like the clip view. Obviously if I'm finishing a song and I'm trying to actually make something and actually like have a fall through, I'm definitely you know what I'm saying, making a I'm definitely gonna do it in a session view. But if I'm in a clip view and it's putting ideas in the batch and like trying shit, that's what I'm doing for sure. That's the best, to me, the best way to do it. If that answers the question, though, I use the session view. Hopefully it does. What was that? Oh, yeah. Let's see. Where am I at now in the questions? I don't even know. Somebody says, do I have ADHD for Kendrick? I do not have the record. I did not produce that one. That was done by Mr. Soundwave. Let's see. What are your thoughts on producer releasing albums that could feature their favorite artists? I feel like so much of the music I love is not only artists, but also connected with the producers of the song. Producers are now the artists in a way. Yeah. No, I think that's more of a question around like that more of a question around like producer album, or doing an album with one producer.
I think that's not like releasing like you releasing it.
Oh, somebody produced like, oh yeah, no.
Like how like artists like Dre did with like 2001 type shit.
Yeah. No, I think producers are artists. I think producers are artists like for first and foremost. I think like you always got to remember like you are a producer. You are the artist first. You know what I'm saying? Like you write songs, you know what I'm saying? You put songs out, and basically, you know, being a producer is some ways of like being able to like finish an idea or finish a song. But first and foremost, like you're creative, like you make songs. So I think we're in a time where now the you have an advantage, you know what I'm saying, of really making something for yourself and making something for your own world and for your people who appreciate like your what you do. And I think it's more evident than ever because I think there's just a lane now where you can make music and you can make things and you find your own niche and people in the world that really love it and appreciate it and will support you. And you know, platforms like Twitch obviously is like super important in helping that do that, or platforms like, you know, even like playlisting, you know what I'm saying? I think that's changed their game for like people having certain music they really like and that's what they love, and like either certain artists that they love listening to in that workspace. Like it's creating like lanes of like, as long as you're putting out music and it sounds good, like there's a lane for it and you can actually like live off that or make a world that is, you know, fixated around that. And I think it's just like a special time for that. So yeah, I think and it's cool, and it's cool because it allows you to be creative, because sometimes being a producer for other people's albums, like you kind of lose that creativity. You're always doing other people's shit, and which is fine, but I think in some ways it's like it allows you to be, you know, just have some freedom in what you're doing and not have to feel like you're dictated by what other people kind of have to say or do. So I think that's like super duper important. So appreciate that question. It says, when you cook up, do you start in session mode or mostly working arrangement? Okay, I think I answered that question already. But usually it depends, but I like to start in session mode most of the time, just because I can go through parts a lot quicker. Mobots, oh, thank you for subscribing. Oh, damn, I already got you. I already think I said that. Wait, what again? I said, oh, I've been struggling with just, oh, sorry, one wave. Is that C's? One Waysies? I'm bad at reading that names.
Yeah, one way C's.
Oh yeah, One Way C's asks, I've been struggling with just making music for fun with no expectations. Any advice on how to keep it fun and not worry about, will this be my career? Yeah, man, I think, you know, it's funny, like the idea of like career, being a musician as a career or being a producer as a career, it kind of, it's interesting because it's a two-way street, at least for me, how I look at it. Like I think for myself, I look at it like I was always going to do music regardless if I was going to get paid to do it, just because I have I feel like I have like not just a passion, but like an actual like physical need to like make music, because without it, yeah, I don't know, it's just something that I feel like life would be a little bit hard for me to express myself as a person without music. So in some ways it's like finding yourself or finding your voice in music is like, I think that's just a super vital part. And because I think at the end of the day, like you have to love what you're making, you have to love what you're actually creating, for the purpose of just like, it's you know what I'm saying? And it belongs to you, and like you believe in it and you love it, and like it's you know, it's just you. I think when you start to like get into the mode of like creating for other people, it's like a thing where I think it's funny because like your mindset changed a little bit of like, okay, like I'm trying to make this beat for someone, I'm trying to sell this beat, I'm trying to make some money off of it, and there's always somewhat of a compromise because it's when you're doing a song for somebody else, it's kind of like a little bit work for hire. But you want them to basically hire you for like your style and like what you do and like really fuck with like your creative process. And I think in a lot of ways it's you know, it's one of the things where you have to you just gotta build up enough strength at the end of the day of like knowing like you want to be able to do music regardless of like if you get paid for it or not, and like and making money is a nice thing to be able to do. It's a blessing obviously to make money and create music from it, but in some ways like I kind of look at it like you just don't want it to guide you in like what you're making and why you're making what you're making and doing, just because I think a lot of times it can, I don't know, it can kind of fuck with you, you know what I'm saying? Because like when you've had success, I say this for sure, like when you've had success as a producer or an artist or whatever, you know, the clock starts ticking for a lot of people where they just, you know, you get a big record, you get something that's good and you get paid, it's like, oh dope, but then the next shit that comes out is competing with like your next project or your next thing. So you know, you almost, to me, like have to have amnesia a little bit of just like, you know, like when I make something, like I really don't, either I stop listening to it or like I forget or I try to move on, just because I know people might expect me to make this, they want the same thing, but I don't want to give them the same thing. I want to give them something that they even haven't heard, or basically put them in a space of like, my process of making music is always going to keep them on the run a little bit of like, oh shit, like this is something that's like I never heard him do before, or this is something that I think like he can tap into that I didn't even have any idea of like he could do that shit, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of it's just like a constant way of just like, you know, being able to yeah, just like really, the money part of it is obviously like a huge thing and for a lot of different reasons, and people want to actually like, you know, make it happen, but I never tell people to like sacrifice like their style or sacrifice what they do to for the money, because I think a lot of times if you listen to like even my style of music or what I make or what you've heard me make before, I try to keep things moving and making shit that's like people don't expect me to, and I think people are on the cusp of like really understanding like that's what I do and like that, and that's my style. And I think at the end of the day that's something that I'm like, I feel like I've earned that keep where like people now expect me to kind of give them something really cool, it's really dope, and it's helped me kind of stay relevant in my, you know, as a producer, or stay relevant in like my process where people don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. So, and I think that just helped me be successful. So in some ways I think at the end of the day is like, to answer your question, I think just make what you love, bro, and make people understand why it's dope. You know what I'm saying? And I think you'll always find yourself in the right space. Who's this one?
Senior subs. Is that names?
There's a hole and everything.
Two.
Oh, got you. Fire. Oh, thank you. I am Nicked and Raylan Cole.
Yeah.
All right, Raylan Cole. Appreciate for the subs. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Somebody asked another question. Let's see. Can you name a song that you produced that came from that drum process?
The drum monkey and
Oh, the drum monkey. Yeah. Actually, Count Me Out, the record I did with Kendrick on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. The drums came from me using drum monkey, actually. What'd you say?
paper cuts too.
Paper cuts came from that too?
Mm-hmm.
Did I use that from that one? Oh yeah, okay. See, I didn't even remember. So, Drum Monkey I use on Paper Cuts from Vince Staples' last album, and also used it for Count Me Out. I used the drums. I used Drum Monkey on those, but I specifically just coming up with patterns. You know what I'm saying? Because I know the patterns that I'm gonna make, and I'm doing shit. But I was like, yo, let me just generate some of that, and like we literally like when the pattern's like, oh, that's a really unique pattern. Let's fuck with that, and that was just like I just basically took a took the sounds, changed the sounds a little bit, but like used the pattern. And I think that's a really cool thing about the MIDI generation thing now, where basically like you don't like, for me personally, I don't like to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I just know what I'm gonna make. But like, if a MIDI, you got to use like almost like use the technology to like kind of like do shit that you won't do, and it allows you to like to really create some really dope shit from it. So, which is really cool. Um, let's see. It says, "Yo, what's good, Dai? I see it's a Q&A day, so I have a question. How to make your beats sound more live and less plastic? How to give them analog warmth and color?" That's a great question. Great question. Um, so, uh, I call it like the lean back, basically. Like you have to have when you're doing beats. I never. I'm always either. I'm always. I always have the drums. I think it's just like a rule of thumb. But I don't think it's like a real secret, but basically like when you're making your beats, try to like basically, at least for me, I hate things that feel right on top. Basically, like I always love things that I always slide the drums a little bit forward. I slide the sample back or slide the music back a few steps. Um, I usually have the hi-hats late a little bit, or I have the snare a little early. Just basically shifting things in the beat to basically make it feel like there's something's naturally behind or naturally forward. That's just something that I use for like anything I do. Every beat that I make, that's the one rule I always do. I'm always like sliding shit either forward or back because I feel like that's gonna make something that's like in pocket. And that's just a something thing that I like to do. Um, and analog sound, man. Uh, I give you a bunch of dope plugins that really uh man, it's a lot of really dope shit plugin wise. So everybody knows RC20. I feel like that's like a RC20 is like pretty standard now. I guess it feels like it's like the default one everybody likes to use. But RC20 is a great plugin for creating analog sound. The key to me to this is really mastering the distortion and the noise. To me, those are like the two big things that I like to use if I'm trying to match a certain specific sound. There's also I use cassette as well. Cassette is another plugin that is by Wave Factory that has a lot of really dope kind of like saturation tape sound, which is really cool. I also like to use what's the one I use that's like it's kind of a weird one, but they have some cool shit. This is a joint called Wires by Audio Thing. It's a really dope plugin for like it just fucks the sound up, which is really cool. Like I'll give you an example of it on the sample actually. Um, so so without the sample, it's Now with it on, it really just makes the sound like just dirty as hell. Then you can mess with the flutter, the wow, make drops like it's really cuts out, like comes like frequency shit, which is really cool. Reduces clicks, EQs, add some echo feedback, which is really cool. It's just like a really dope plugin. I like to just use for like, I use this on drums, I use this on samples, basses, whatever. Like it's a really dope plugin I use just to fuck around with some sounds. But that's one of my favorite ones I like to use. And then also obviously people use a decapitator. That's always a thing I do. I make a lot of just like chains and just like try a bunch of shit that makes like really cool. I'll go into more detail. Actually, I can show you a little bit too. Another, if you guys have Ableton specifically, there's a lot of really dope third-party plugins that you guys should check out too. I'm trying to think if I have any of those. Oh, actually, no. I'm sorry, not those. I'm sorry. Check out Good Hurts. All their plugins are like fire. Like you can't go wrong with any of their shit. Good Hurts, the Low-Hi, the Lucy, the Wolf compressor. Like this right here makes your drums like snap for sure. Like this plugin is like one of the best plugins for drums, I'd say, because you can really go in and like just make your shit knock, which is really cool. And Tube. Oh yeah, Tube is hard too for drums. Tube tape is one of the best ones I use for drums, for like if I want like a sound or anything like that. Like to me, that's like super fire plugins that make your shit knock. Let me see if I'll put it on the drums on here. Same thing, I can kind of show you a little bit. Some of these drums are processed, so you know they might sound more processed basically, but you can kind of hear a little bit of just like some of the loops. You're gonna hear a little bit. So like 85. You can emphasize certain frequencies, which is really cool. Filter out certain signs. But it really adds like a punch to it. These sound really good on live, like actual live sounding drums, which is like super hard. But yeah. What's up? Oh, we got some more subs. Gene Good, thank you, appreciate that. And Flick O, thank you for subscriptions, appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. What's the next question? Let's see. Let's see. It says Yodelman. He says, what's one method you use for creating a B section to a loop, to what's the creating a beat section to a loop you have going? Okay, so if I'm making, it depends. So a lot of times for me, if I'm by myself, I kind of look at, well, I kind of look at like a couple ways. Like my process of like when I'm making music is like I like to do things in sections. So a lot of times, I look at writing records or writing an idea based off of just like, I guess in some ways, like knowing there's like either a bridge or a verse or a hook. If I'm doing a verse and a hook, sometimes the melody I'm making is, the bridge and the hook. I'm sorry, the verse and the hook is usually the same. I just maybe may take certain sounds out and maybe add a lead line to the hook. And so there's variations of like sounds in the melody, but I'm just kind of like creating just range within that sound. So in some ways, it's like being able to like, I look at basically when you're making a beat, like it's basically kind of making, what can I do with like these 8 sounds? And the 8 sounds is like kind of like not the max, but like you don't want to like overdo it, you know what I'm saying? Or basically like create too much movement and too much shit. I kind of subtract if I'm in the verses. Hook, I make a little bit more space to give it a little bit more up, bring the beat up or try something different. Now the bridge or pre's, that's where I feel like there's a change that can happen, just so I can if I'm doing a pre should just feel like a little turnaround before the big hook comes in or something that big. And a lot of that is just basically a lot of that's just writing melody, writing new melodies with chords or like bass lines. For me, I'm a bassist, like I love bass, so I kind of look for the root note when I'm playing a song. So if I'm playing a certain progression, I'm usually like just playing something I really like with the bass line. And then if I'm going to a pre, I'm going to just basically play an idea and be like, oh, this is dope, and switch it up. So in some ways, it's like it's just being able to like make something that I think has a change just based off of that, and then from there I figure out the chords and write something new. So in some ways, it's like it's kind of, for me, it's just like writing a new melody based off the bass line first, because it helped me figure out what the chords are, and then from there I use, and then sometimes I'll just change the drum up too. I'll either remove the snare and the kick and just have the kick be the bridge, and that can be a part, and I'll just play to that. Or I'll also do I'll maybe just change the rhythm, and it'll give me like another section of a song. So sometimes for me, rhythm is like a huge factor of like where the song's gonna go. So if I have a beat and I have like an idea, I'll let the rhythm dictate like the creative process, and then basically like I shoot for it. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's just like being able to like make something that's like that leads me into something else. And sometimes I just need something to take me there. And those are the 3 things I usually do to help me kind of get to that point. I hopefully that answered the question. Ryan Cole, thank you for joining the chat for the first time. Appreciate you. Oh yeah, if you guys want to join my Discord, it is in the announcements. Join the squad, join the team, man. It's gonna be dope. Just slowly building it out, but I'm excited for where we can go. It says, "Hello, Dahi from Marum back. How's your name? Marum Marum Baya, I think it's pronounced your name. It says, "What's up? What is your reverb? Or what is reverb? Is that a question? What reverb is, or what reverb do I use? What is reverb? um, if you meant like what reverb I use, I mean, it's a couple. If I'm using like I love a lot of lately what I've been using a lot of is a lot of convolution reverbs. And if you guys don't know what convolution reverbs are, they are basically a sample. Yeah, basically taking a sample and let's see if I can show you. Yeah, do I have it in here? Yeah. So basically, taking a sample and the sample is actually dictating what the room kind of like. It's almost like setting like the what you call it,
the frequency response to the room, like the way the room like behaves.
Exactly. So the convolution reverb is basically like a sample that you put into in the reverb, and it's a frequency response. So basically, if I take a stick and I literally hit the room, whatever that stick sample sound is, that's what the sample is going to reverberate to, and that's how you get your room you figure out your room sound. And it's actually really cool for like it's just a really cool texture that you can't normally get because it is based off of like an object. And so what I do sometimes is basically I just have a bunch of reverb impulses. So these are all like just sounds that I've collected over time, and these are all from like either different models of reverbs, different like classics gear type of reverb sounds. This is actually a really good way for you to like if you can afford, say if you go to a big studio and you can't afford the reverb that they have at that studio, what a lot of people do is they'll basically just sample the room and they'll use that room size and just basically take it home, and they'll have like that reverb. So for example, like when we were at United, which is like a really incredible studio in Hollywood, they have a crazy plate. Is that plate reverb?
The chambers, right?
Oh yeah, the chamber. Yeah, I'm sorry, the chamber reverb. And like the sounds that come out of that room was like, it's super incredible, hard, super dope. And so one of my engineer friends, Sean, he would basically for him, when we go back to mixing records, he would actually go back and take this, go in the room, basically sample the reverb, print it out, basically print the reverb out. Then when we would go to mixing, he was like, all right, I basically sampled that reverb and I can put it in the mix for like what we want to do and create and shit. So it's actually like a really cool way to basically sample any room, any environment. Like if you can actually go and can go, say if you have like a Zoom mic or whatever, or even your phone, you can literally go outside and clap into like a hall room or whatever. Just literally go snap, click that, take that sample, save it as a little one shot, whatever. Go here, save it in a folder. Oh, it's like, oh, I like the sound, whatever. Cool. Put it in the let me put it in Ableton, sorry. I'm just doing it. These are just folders of like different one shots that I have from different rooms. This is actually from, I'll show you an example. This is actually from a guitar. These are just guitar flick sounds. So these are just like one little sound, but you put this in reverb sound, it just creates a different frequency for the actual drum. So like I'll bypass the reverb and you can hear a little bit. So that's just like the drum suit with the reverb. So it sounds like the drums is in a certain room and it's based off of the sample. Because the sound is just literally bouncing off of and it creates like a new sound. And this is just, that sound right there is just from like a spring reverb analog tape sound. So in some ways that's like a really, really cool way of like basically taking a sample from anywhere. The cool thing is like you can take a sample from anywhere and basically create a new idea based off of like the room. And that in convolution reverbs is like basically like the newer, I would say like a new thing, but it's just like a really cool way of like creating sounds, because you literally can just create something from there and then like put it in there and it's like it's really dope. So so if that's your question about favorite reverbs, that's like what I'm kind of on right now, which is cool.
That's how they make all the acoustical plugins too.
Yeah,
that's all impulse based.
Yep, exactly. It says it says, oh, what is in texture folder on my drive? Okay, so you guys get nosy now. All right, it's all good. So texture folders. So texture folders are just basically like just random shit, bro. Like it's just like sounds that I just like. So anything that's like weird, that's a cool texture. Oh, that's a really cool loop. So it's just like anything, basically. Like anything that has like a... Because sometimes for me, I take texture folders and I'll just make drums out of them and just try to make something kind of cool based off of that rhythm or that sound or that, that feel of anything. And it kind of really creates, it really just creates a really cool base for, I guess even some point of just like starting, almost like going to the point of like having starting points. Sometimes if I hear something that's a little bit unorthodox or just doesn't necessarily sound like something cool, I'd be like, oh, this could be a cool instrument, or this could be a cool, sound, whatever. And it's actually really cool for me to help me make like one shots for like even like new instruments, whatever. Because sometimes I'll just sample, for example, like this sound, and I'll be like, oh, this is a cool sound. I would like, let's make a new instrument out of it because it just sounds cool. I'll double click it and I'll literally just make, and see if I can write chords to it. You know what I'm saying? So in some ways, just like my texture folders is basically like this shit that's like just not normal instruments and just sounds and samples and shit. It's just like a lot of just shit that just sounds cool. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I just love finding new shit in there, which is really, really cool. All right, another question. You got any favorite drum packs? Do I have any favorite drum packs? Like, do I have
like Red Sleeper stuff?
Oh, do I have like sample drum pack? That's a really good question. That's a really good question. Do I have that? I don't. You know, it's funny. Like, I don't really have like packs that I really like. Like off the top, if I'm using like a drum pack sounds, I'm trying to think who I fuck with. It's just for me. I think it's funny because I'm kind of a drum snob, so I kind of use my own shit, if that makes sense. Just because I just like frequency. For me, like I have certain things that I like, and I know, you know, I think I just literally find my own drum sounds, and I go through packs and find things and like search maybe take one sound here and pull it in this sound, or take one sound here and put it in there. So, and generally speaking, I don't really use a lot of like either like loops. Not that I don't use other loops from other people, but I don't, for drums specifically. I create my own sound, so it's kind of hard to answer the question. But I do like my guy Oliver on Splice. He his drum sounds always sound really good. Um, who else am I using? I like the drums. Beat Butcher. He just put out a really dope drum pack sound pack that was really cool. Um, yeah, his shit was actually really fire. It's like that kind of dirty drum sound loop shit, which is cool. But it's not too many drum like loop, not it's like loop sound thing that I've like gotten that I really fuck with. But I'm trying to think of like those are the two that go off my head that I say I like. But it's not like a lot. Not like, 'cause I use like, so I usually just make my own. Um uh have I ever worked with BJ Burton? Feel like you two could make heat. No, I haven't, but if he's dope, like I'm always down, man. I'll check his stuff out for sure. Can you break down By Friend? What record is that? Did I make By Friend? I'm trying to think. Maybe let me look at Spotify and see. By Friend. What's By Friend? Did I do that one? Because I will forget. Oh, all right. I spelled. I'm thinking By Friend. Oh yeah. Sorry, I did make that record. That's my boy. See, I'm terrible with names, bro. I'm like really terrible. And the funny thing, I just saw Omar too, which is really cool. Um, uh, yeah, no, that record. Uh, that record. I did actually with my guy Michael Uzi. Michael is incredible producer. Actually, I do have that drum loop I actually made. I think. What drum loop is that at? This is the. Do I have that drum loop? So again, I make my own drum loop. So I'm trying to remember. Sorry, I'm just going through sounds. Let me see, maybe it's early ones I did. I made some of these, like OPAC. actual sound. I'm trying to verify. So I have the drum loop actually made for that song. Just trying to remember. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So this is a drum loop I actually made for that Omar record. So basically, I used this drum beat, and yeah, sometimes I just literally just make drum loops. I don't do anything else. I just make a bunch of drum loops. And the sound, this loop I gave to Michael, and Michael found like some really dope chords and was like, oh, this is fire. And then like literally just played some ideas on top of it. And then I came in, we actually like, he did, I think either I did the bass or he did the bass, or I can't remember, but basically that was how it came to be. And he played it for Omar, and Omar was like, yo, this is fire, and just wrote this record and sent me like a demo. And then basically it was like the kind of record came to be. So and it's cool because in some ways, again, like it's just some shit that I've kind of I just did, and it was like, oh, this is cool. And like I didn't have any, I didn't have a really specific thing I was like going for. It was like an idea I just made as a part, and I was like, I'll just save it as an idea. And from there, I literally just gave it to Mike, because me and him trade ideas all the time. Just like, oh, this is a really cool sample, or I have a really cool sample, or and yeah, it was like, and a lot of it's funny. A lot of the stuff that it's funny thing. A lot of the placements I had gotten in 2001 all came from like the pandemic time, when I was literally in my room, and I was like, I just literally just need to like make a bunch of like just samples and sounds and drums and shit. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Let me just actually make some shit for that, and like send it to people. So, you know, I'd say the key advice to that, just like literally just make a bunch of shit and just like save it. Nothing is trash. Everything is kind of useful for something, which is cool.
Same subject.
Say
Piccolo
Black asks, how do you create your own drum sounds with no hardware or not a lot of resources? So the key to that is you got to make presets. You got to make your own presets. And a lot of the drums that I do are literally just kind of like trial and error and just presets. I think I gave you a couple of kind of tools of what, but I'll show you one that I'll do. So let's see. For example, like I like EXO. I have like an EXO preset that I did. And these are just like basically chains that I make, and anybody can make them. With like, there's a lot of really incredible plugins that you can find now that are like really, really dope for like just making chains, and you just save them. So let's see. So I have like a couple of EXO ones. I think this is like an EXO one I did. Let's see what this is. And this is just a chain. So basically what I do is these are I'll break it down a little bit, but these are just like different effect chains that I've made, or I bought these, or like I made them. These, I can't remember which one of these, but these are just like Ableton preset ones that I use. And let me see if I can find a sound for some of these, because some of the sounds might be different, but none. Let's do. So the things about EXO, which is cool, is like you just I'm going through different folders of like sounds that I like, and it just randomly picks sounds from that folder, and like this like generates like drum sounds, which is really cool. So basically these are just the different things that I'm using from, just to give you a little bit of so these are the chains basically that I'm using to create different sounds. So like I'm using this particular plugin has literally a limiter, a LA Clipper, a dirty filter, a cassette type sound. I have an echo chamber sound. I have another limiter. I have a multi-band compressor. I have this one is a gain and distortion plugin. This one is which one is this one? This one is a compressor, basically another compressor. And so a lot of these are just these are just like different methods. And so I usually try to just try different random combinations of like compressions and filters that really gives you like different tones and textures. It's cool. Different. It's like that's a cool like. This is just me fucking around. And a lot of these, and these sounds right here these are all Ableton sound plugins. So these are just like they have a really dope drum bus that I really love. It really adds like a really lot of punch to like whatever I'm doing. And then yeah, and these are just same thing. Question about the MIDI. These are just MIDI patterns that come with Excel. But these are just like basically things that I have. These are all Ableton stock sounds that I literally spent time going through and like just picking and like trying different combinations of sounds. And the cool things that I can save. What I love about the new Ableton mode is that I can save actual snapshots of the presets that I make. So if I like a specific one, I can literally take a snapshot of it and be like, oh, I like this variation, and I can pick random. It's just random ones. I like this is a cool sound. Take that one. So I have like snapshots of both sounds, and I can save them as a preset, which is really cool. And you can really do that for like a lot of the sounds on Ableton, which is really what I love about the customization of that. You just can save a bunch of shit and like really just use it as like a tool, which is really dope. But that's just I don't know what DAW you use, but that's just like a perfect example of just like literally just save a bunch of the shit. Just save it, and like, and go back and like try to find something that's really cool, because it would allow you to think about the process of what you're doing a little bit differently, which is really dope. So, what's another question? It says, what's good, bro? God blessings you and your family. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Compton. Most joining. Who's that? Oh, Eli. I got Eli. Hold on a second. You here? 1 second. Oh yeah, we'll get him. Okay, this is right here. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. Just answering a text. God, yeah. Will send. He probably at the front door. Thank you. Sorry. Let's see. Compton's most joining. Thank you for the for joining the squad. Do I play League of Legends? No, I don't know how to play, but I need to learn. Ryan Cole, thank you. I appreciate the sub. I may have already said that, but I'll say it again. Thank you. Sis, could you talk about your relationship with Soundwave? You guys seem to have a great chemistry when producing records together. Um, yeah, man, me and Soundwave is like that's my bro. Um, yeah, I think it's it just goes back to just really being you know, just collaborating and just like knowing like, someone is hey, what's up, bro? My friend Eli's here. Say hi.
Hello.
Um uh it just kind of goes to this idea of just like, team and like knowing what someone's role is in the process of like trying to make something really great. And I think me and Wave have worked long enough to basically kind of know what we're both good at and know that, we can kind of take turns in regards to just like the direction of like an idea of like what we're gonna trying to make and what we're trying to do. So I think it's oh shit, we got somebody from Manila. That's fire. Uh how you pronounce your name? It's Nia
Neil on the way out.
Nia on the way out. Yo, thank you. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. Uh what else was I saying? Oh, but no, I think just me and Soundwave just really have really dope chemistry and just like just creating from a standpoint of just trying to make some dope shit and like and at the goal in mind is like and usually obviously when we work together it is working with Kendrick, but it's just something that is like, we've known each other for a while, but we like and we kind of know what we're both good at and what we both like our kind of like our specialties. And it's just like I think if you when you work with someone for a while time or just like you have a certain chemistry, like it just makes you just trust people at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like I think you really just trust the process and like you trust what people can do and like what they can create and like what they have uh in the repertoire. And I think at the end of the day, like that's something that I really value and like really want to continue to like grow with people. So and it's just a constant, just again, just trusting people and just trusting the process. So yeah, that's my guy, man. Um, let's see. Do you use a lot of random objects to find drum textures? Yeah, I think I talked about that earlier. That texture folder I have is just a bunch of just random shit that I find throughout the day and throughout, when I have time to search for sounds. Just because I think like texture is kind of like the key to finding something that you think is unique. But a lot of it is just like just kind of throwing paint at the wall a little bit and kind of hearing things that I guess objectively off top don't sound like music, but there's a natural rhythm to it, and I think that's what I search for and actually like what I'm making and like try to do. So yeah. Um, let's see. What's your favorite genre to pull from? And do you still sample published records as much as before, or is directly create samples like only from people you know? Um, yeah, I mean now I think now for me, sampling is kind of a it's just kind of I kind of take the point of like I'm just gonna make whatever sounds cool. I don't really have a rule in mind because at the end of the day I look at it like I said earlier like I try to make shit that I think is dope and I think about the future more than I think about the present. There are things that I obviously like. Obviously, when it comes to sampling, like I try not to sample as much just because I think just so many people that I'm working with now, and just like the different collaborators I'm working with, like I guess I can try. I want to try to make a record if that makes sense. Like, I want to try to see if I can do it, because I feel like if I can master making something, it's like, okay, I kind of know how to do it. But sometimes it doesn't matter. Like, sometimes I just make whatever sounds cool, and like, and I think it's like dope, and I'll just try to sample and make something really cool out of it. So in some ways, it just depends on. It really just depends on what I make, what I'm looking for. But in regards to like the source material that I'm looking for, man, it all depends on. It really just depends on how I feel, man. It's not. I don't have a. I mean, I love soul records. I love. That's just in me as a creative. I love alternative rock music. I love alternative music in general. Um, I love anybody that has a unique voice. Uh, yeah, I just love shit, man. I was like, I don't really have a. I don't have a. I don't have a thing that I'm like that I follow. If that makes sense. But I do have certain artists that I like that I follow. Um, so, but in general, I'm very. Yeah, I just anything that sounds cool, man. And a lot of it's just like it's just the mood that I'm in. That's how I kind of look at it. Um, so yeah. Oh, my guy Jay Versace's in the building. He says, "How do you feel about Splice?" Man, why do I feel about Splice? Um, Splice is like Splice is just the future, if that makes sense to me. Like, I don't have a negative thing to say about it because I've used it and it's helped me in different situations. Um, and so I appreciate like the what it has. Just basically, like, it's almost like having a social sound library at your helm, which is like really dope. Um, the problem I see that is happening with Splice, and I think happening in general, is kind of like copyright, and um, it's kind of like knowing the source of everything. Just because basically you're trusting. I've come in situations basically like I thought something was royalty free, and I thought something was cool, and this is not specifically Splice, but this is other sound library shit, and I've used some shit, and just because somebody knew it was me, and just because somebody knew that the record artist I was working with, and I used like a sample loop or I used like a drum loop, and somebody came to me and was like, "Yo, yeah, use that shit, man. You know what I put on that site is not sample free, and yeah, man, I need some publishing on it." I'm like, "Wait a minute, I thought this shit was like, I thought it was free." And it ended up not being free, and so it was like, oh shit. So I don't know where the fuck this shit's coming from, and I don't know if it's like actually sample free. And so my biggest thing with Splice now is like, it just coming to a point where it's like it's gonna be harder to use stuff in the future, because yeah, like it's someone's composition, someone's actually silence, someone's loops. If you're just giving it away, like, can you do that legally? Can it happen? Like, um even if, oh, is another thing too. Like, a lot of publishers, a lot of people who are like, and this is the truth I'm learning now, like a lot of publishers are starting to hit up Splice companies like, yo, like, you can't be giving shit away for free. Like, you have to, because if you're a producer and you have a publishing deal, the publisher is going to want a piece of that money, because you can't just give shit away. And So in some ways, it's like a thing where you gotta be conscious now, where like you just can't give. If you make a sample pack, for example, and you try to give it away, your publisher is gonna want a piece of that, and that's a new thing that's starting to happen more often. So honestly, it's just a thing of like, you just gotta be conscious of that new thing happening. But I think in general, I think it's helping more people get in producing or getting in because you can just have sources of sounds and like really create new sound kits and create new things. And like I use a lot of like one shots and stuff and dig and just find shit that's like sounds really cool and like save it and making new instruments out of stuff. So I think it's really dope. I just think at the end of the day, it's like it's just one of the things where like you just have to you know you just got to use it to like your advantage and know that it's the kind of ever changing thing. But you know excuse me. Um I'll answer a few more questions. Somebody said, "Can I do a breakdown for worst behavior?" I wish I could do that, but that's 10 years ago now, and I don't have Logic anymore, and I don't know where that session is. But I would do that for you if I did have it, but I don't have that session anymore. Um, Somebody asked me, "What does it mean to you to be a great producer in 2022?" Whew, man, that's a really good question. Uh, I think being a great producer in 2022 is mm, I mean, I think you got to look at it from a couple ways of like for my own personal goals, I think it's just trying to explore things that I didn't couldn't see that seemed unattainable, if that makes sense. Like just making shit that I feel like people wouldn't expect me to do or kind of create, and I'm trying to like constantly like evolve. Um, in some ways, I think it's just something that I'm constantly trying to challenge myself and be um, uh, like really put myself in a position where I can see myself you know in places and in processes that I've always wanted to be in. Like for example, like one of my goals is like to produce a band, and so that's my own personal goal is like really produce like either like a rock band, soul band. Just like I'm really working with musicians and like really producing songs from like like a Quincy Jones standpoint of like how do we make this shit like really really pop and like bringing people together. Um, but in general, I think I mean, I say it applies, and I think it's not just in 2022, but I think it's in all things. I think at the end of the day, it's like, um, to me, what makes a great producer is your ability to, um, galvanize the troops, which means like basically like bring people together. Um, uh, be a psychiatrist, which means like you basically have to be able to learn, know people, how to deal with people, how to like actually talk to people and actually like listen. And I think third is like really be resourceful and knowing that you can solve problems. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the thing that I've learned. It's like you have to learn how to solve problems. Because at the end of the day, it's like you're gonna have to get this shit across the finish line. And I think that's something that like I think people don't really realize, but you know, like you have to finish it. Like if you're a producer, you know, you have to finish the record, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's like a big key to being producer. And I think beat making and as a part of it too, but I think at the end of the day, it's like those are just things that I kind of hold dear to like what I'm doing and like creating. So yeah, that was a good question. I'm gonna answer a couple more. Any good ones I ain't skipped? Let me see. Any advice on any advice on getting out of your comfort zone or imposter syndrome? Um, yeah, that's a good one. I guess the comfort zone thing is just like I think is it's a couple ways, man. I think it's like it's I would say it's like kind of being in a room with other people. Um, because I think at the end of the day, it's like when you're by yourself and you're making stuff, you have to do certain things to like break the monotony of like what you're doing and like or just making the same shit. And I think sometimes like um unless someone's in a room to like basically challenge that or like do something different, like you have to I guess you just have to be able to like put yourself in that zone and be like, okay, like I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna like really make something that's like unique or, you know, force yourself, kind of set rules too. Like we're just like today I'm doing only beats at I'm only writing songs at this tempo. I'm only using these chords. I'm only doing like these these things that is going to force me to have to break out of that comfort zone. And I think a lot of that is just like it's just an idea, you know. So sometimes if you give yourself rules, you have to find ways to break out those rules. And I think those are just good things to kind of do on a daily, where you can kind of like, you know, make a chart and like I'm gonna say each day I'm gonna do. You almost like set goals for the week or set goals for like, you know, writing. Or it's like I'm only listening to like this style of music. I'm only listening to this thing. I'm only doing that, and like it'll force you to like study, make something dope, create something really cool, and like yeah, like just start from that point. And I think that's just like it helps like in the process of like making music. And I think that's just something that I realized just like it helps. So just try shit and just set rules. And I think you'll find you're surprised about what you make, especially if you're by yourself making music. But if you're other people and you guys are just collaborating and making shit, I think it's really cool to just be able to like bounce shit off of each other, which is really dope. So yeah. Um I'll answer two more questions. Let me see which other ones. Somebody said, "Did I go to Berkeley?" No, I did not. I wish I did, but I work with a lot of friends from Berkeley, so which is cool. A lot of my homies are from Berkeley. Um, Somebody says, "What?" Nope, that's not a question. Sorry. Um, Jen Good. Did I get a gift from Jen? Oh, thank you, man. Is that Gene Good? Thank you, thank you. Um, uh, am I missing other questions? Am I missing anything? I feel like I'm behind, so I'm trying to figure out. Uh, will you ever look? Let's see. Let's see. What's been the best part of your journey? Um, I answered the last two questions, I guess I said. What's been the best part of your journey? Best part of the journey is just surprising myself. I think at the end of the day, it's like you have goals in mind of like what you want to do and make, but I think in general, like um you're just trying to, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like at least for me, like I'm trying to create moments, man. And I think at the end of the day, it's like when you like I it was what was really cool to see is when I was watching Kendrick perform on Amazon show of the Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers, and just seeing like some of those songs being, you know, sang along to in a, you know, a stadium of like, you know, I don't know how many people, 20,000, 30,000 people. It's kind of nuts, man. Cause a lot of this shit I just made in my bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Or I just made just fucking around and experimenting. And it's like that's the crazy part of the journey when you literally you have you just see shit and it's like, yo, that shit's wild. It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's and yet again you forget like you make music for yourself and you in the process of you doing shit, but like people sing along and shit. Like people really like these songs like they're like their memories. You know what I'm saying? So that's the power of music. You realize is like that's why you can. It's funny how you realize what a song is worth. A song is worth like it's generational if it connects with people because people will pass it down, and that's the journey. Those are things that the journey that I really like. I fuck with, which is like kind of crazy, which is amazing. So, but yeah, that's unfair. He says, would you ever look into Jason? Would you ever look into mentorship? Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think, um, yeah, I think it's. I mean, I have been in different roles of that with different folks in the last few years, but it's been really cool to just like see new producers and writers come up and like really just create and have their own sound and have their own thing. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I think it's just dope that, you're able to see someone succeed and like that's really amazing. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I'm constantly kind of like evolving that and kind of bringing people in and out. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm constantly exploring and trying to, grow as possible. So, and then the last question of the night, last question, favorite piece of gear. What's the favorite piece of gear? Favorite piece of gear. Um, I'd say, well, if we're specifically talking about, I would say if we're talking about keyboards, I say right now my favorite piece of gear is probably like my Prophet 10. Just because it's like diverse in like what it could do. It's like pretty amazing what you can kind of create sound wise and like what you can do of just like tweaking sounds and like coming up with like original pieces of textures. It's just amazing. Like it's probably like, and it's simple, which is cool. It's not difficult to like learn and use. It's just dope, man. It's like really really dope, and I like just using it as a tool that I'm like that I'll always keep that keyboard. Just because I think it's just like it's it's just dope, man. I recommend anybody get one because it's you can do so much with it, which is cool. Yeah, that's the one. Um, oh, okay. And he says, when will you be streaming next? Next stream, I'm trying to figure out what date I'm gonna try to do, but it's probably gonna end up being it'll probably be in a if I don't it'll no later than a couple weeks. I'm trying to figure out next week I have like some sessions I have to do, so I might not be able to actually stream. But I'm trying to find maybe pocket dates within next week that I can do it. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to like be able to put you guys, I'll set a schedule and let you guys know when we're doing it. But yeah, hopefully it'll be in about next week, if not next week, 2 weeks for sure. And then hopefully in that 2 weeks, I'm trying to find a guest for us to talk to. So that'll be fun. I just gotta figure out. I'm trying to figure out locking in some people to actually come on the show. So, but yeah, we'll get it popping. No later than 2 weeks. So, but it might be next week. So we'll see. But
We'll get some recordings up in the meantime.
What you say?
We'll get some recordings up in the meantime.
Yeah, but we'll get some recordings up of like this conversation and probably and hopefully next conversation as well. And yeah, man, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate the time. And then yeah, please join the Discord if you got any. You know, that'll be kind of like an ongoing thing. I'm always in there talking to people and chatting with people too. So yeah, that's another place you guys can connect with me as well. So so yeah, we'll lock back in. And yeah, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. And God bless, man. Be safe out in these streets. You know, just take your time, take your time, take your time. All right, y'all. Peace.